The red light flickers inside the aircraft, and for a brief moment, time itself seems to hesitate. 30 men stand shoulder to shoulder, burdened with 80 pounds of gear, hearts pounding in unison with the engine screaming against the night sky. Below them is nothing but darkness, no runway, no guarantee, no second chances. A jumpmaster's hand slams against a shoulder. The light turns green, and in an instant, they step into the void. This is Airborne, not a tactic, not a ceremony. A purpose. To understand the purpose of Airborne, you have to begin with a simple but terrifying premise. War does not always wait for roads. Armies move on wheels and tracks, but sometimes the battlefield demands arrival from the sky itself. Airborne forces exist to go where others cannot, faster than anyone expects, deeper than anyone predicts, and often before anyone is ready. The concept was born not out of spectacle, but necessity. In the years between the world wars, visionaries looked at the airplane and saw more than reconnaissance. They saw a doorway. Among the most influential was William C. Lee, often called the father of American airborne forces. He believed soldiers could be delivered behind enemy lines en masse, seizing key terrain before the enemy could react. It was a radical idea, one that many dismissed as reckless, but warfare was evolving. Speed was becoming decisive. The first great proving ground came during World War II. German Fallschirmjäger demonstrated the shock value of parachute assaults in Europe, forcing Allied planners to rethink conventional doctrine. Soon, American paratroopers were training in places like Fort Benning, learning to exit aircraft in disciplined waves, to land scattered and alone, and to fight as small units until they could regroup. They were volunteers, every one of them. The pay was higher, but the risk was immeasurable. Airborne forces were never meant to replace traditional infantry. Their purpose was different, sharper. They were designed to seize and hold critical objectives in the earliest moments of conflict: bridges, airfields, crossroads, creating footholds for larger forces to flow through. In doctrine, this is vertical envelopment, bypassing fortified front lines and striking at the enemy's operational depth. It is surprise weaponized. On June 6, 1944, the world witnessed that purpose in action. Hours before amphibious forces stormed beaches in Normandy, thousands of paratroopers descended into darkness over occupied France during D-Day. Units like the 101st Airborne Division and the 82nd Airborne Division were scattered across fields and hedgerows, many landing miles from their intended drop zones. Yet that chaos became part of the design. Small groups rallied, seized causeways, disrupted German reinforcements, and sowed confusion. They were not there to win the war in a single night. They were there to make victory possible. This is the enduring purpose of Airborne, to create opportunity where none exists. Airborne operations carry inherent vulnerability. Paratroopers descend slowly, exposed to enemy fire. Once on the ground, they lack heavy armor and sustained firepower. They rely on speed, aggression, and cohesion. Critics have long argued that parachute assaults are relics too risky in an age of advanced air defenses. Yet the very existence of airborne forces shapes strategic calculations. The capability alone forces adversaries to defend everywhere at once. That psychological weight is part of the mission. The Cold War expanded the concept further. In a world divided by ideology and nuclear tension, rapid deployment became essential. Airborne units were placed on alert, ready to deploy globally within hours. They could respond to crises before they escalated, projecting power without the months-long buildup required for conventional forces. In this sense, Airborne became not just a wartime tool but a geopolitical instrument. When U.S. forces executed Operation Just Cause in 1989, paratroopers again demonstrated their strategic role. Dropping into Panama to seize key objectives, they neutralized resistance and secured infrastructure in the opening hours of the campaign. The operation underscored the enduring relevance of vertical insertion. Speed overwhelms hesitation. But Airborne is not solely about combat. Its purpose also lies in readiness. The training itself forges a distinct culture. At U.S. Army Airborne School, soldiers learn the mechanics of parachuting, how to exit, how to control descent, how to land without breaking bone. Yet beyond technique lies transformation. Standing in the door of an aircraft at altitude forces confrontation with fear in its purest form. There is no gradual easing into that moment. You step or you do not. And stepping changes you. The silver wings pinned to a uniform are not decorative. They symbolize trust in equipment, in leadership, in the soldier behind you who will follow without hesitation. Airborne units cultivate aggressive initiative because dispersion is inevitable. A paratrooper must think independently, adapt quickly, and act decisively. That mindset ripples outward, shaping how these units fight even when they arrive by helicopter or convoy instead of parachute. Technology has evolved since the canvas parachutes of the 1940s. Modern aircraft, improved navigation, and precision airdrop systems enhance accuracy. Yet the core principle remains unchanged. Airborne forces are the embodiment of rapid entry. They compress time. They deny the enemy the luxury of preparation. There is also a humanitarian dimension often overlooked. Airborne units can deliver aid into areas inaccessible by road after earthquakes, floods, or conflict. Supplies, medical teams, and engineers can be inserted when infrastructure collapses. The same doctrine that enables seizure of an airfield can enable the opening of a lifeline. Still, the mythology of airborne persists because of its human cost. Casualties in airborne operations have historically been high. The drop over Normandy, the ill-fated operation at Arnhem during Market Garden, the scattered landings in Sicily all remind us that descending from the sky is not a controlled descent into certainty, but into chaos. Yet volunteers continue to step forward. Why? Because airborne offers something few other assignments do: immediacy. The knowledge that when crisis erupts, you will be among the first sent. That your mission will shape the tempo of the entire campaign. In military strategy, the side that seizes the initiative often dictates the outcome. Airborne forces are designed to seize that initiative at the very outset. In modern conflicts, large-scale parachute assaults are rare, but the capability remains strategically vital. Potential flashpoints across the globe demand forces that can deploy within hours, not weeks. Airborne brigades maintain high readiness cycles, pre-packed equipment, and constant training. Their aircraft may sit fueled on runways, cruise on standby, waiting for orders that may never come, but must be answered if they do. Airborne's purpose is therefore dual, operational and symbolic. Operationally, it provides commanders with a tool of surprise and rapid seizure. Symbolically, it represents resolve, the willingness to risk insertion into the most uncertain environments. There is a reason airborne units cultivate intense esprit de corps. Shared risk breeds cohesion. The memory of that first jump binds soldiers across generations. Veterans speak of the silence after exiting the aircraft, when the roar fades and only wind remains. Suspended between earth and sky, they glimpse both vulnerability and clarity. The ground rushes up. Training takes over. Land, regroup, move toward the objective. In a world increasingly shaped by drones, cyber warfare, and long-range precision fires, some question whether parachutes still matter. But warfare is ultimately about control of terrain and people. Someone must stand on the ground. Airborne ensures that someone can arrive there immediately, even when the path is blocked. The purpose of airborne is not recklessness. It is calculated audacity. It is the understanding that decisive moments often occur before lines solidify, before defenses stabilize. If you can arrive first, you can define what follows. From the fields of Normandy to modern rapid response deployments, airborne forces have operated as the speartip of military power. They are not invincible. They are not immune to the brutal arithmetic of war. But they are designed to disrupt that arithmetic, to alter equations before they balance. And so the red light flickers again in another aircraft, in another year, over another uncertain horizon. Young soldiers adjust their straps, feel the weight of equipment pressing into shoulders, sense the tremor in their pulse. They know the statistics. They know the history. They step anyway. Because the purpose of Airborne is simple and eternal: to reach the unreachable, to strike before the storm gathers, and to prove that sometimes the boldest path to victory begins by falling from the sky.